Good evening. I kind of got this idea for this tackle talk from my buddy KV a little bit, because he always talked about Thatcher's Growler as being one of the best baits under $20 that is out there. And I wholeheartedly agree that honestly I'd be hard pressed to find a better bait for under $20 US than the Growler. But that idea sparked this tackle talk where I wanted to throw together a bunch of lures that are all under $20, with the exception of one that's $21 because I just looked it up. But I wanted to include it anyways, just because it kind of fits the pieces together. I did struggle to find a topwater lure that was under $20 that I thought would meet the mark of like quality, and then like being able to, put some of the biggest fish in the boat. I guess probably the one that I should have looked up would have been the river to sea whopper plopper, like the 190 size. Callie's caught muskies on that. I know mini muskies have been caught on whopper ploppers, so I probably should have grabbed one of those. But those people who bass fish and those who musky fish know that the whopper plopper is a fish catcher for sure, for more than one species. Wipers love them too. Anyway, without too much preface, this tackle talk is the best baits that I think are under $20. So with that said, I'll start off with the first one. This is the Droptine Growler, the Thatcher special here. I believe that these are like $18.99 retail. They got the bell up there, all the things. This is the one that I absolutely just destroyed things with in Canada, and this thing definitely got destroyed. I mean, look at the shrink tube on that guy. It is just absent basically at this point. So I'll probably be too lazy to replace that this winter, but this thing has caught some serious fish. I've had such good luck with it this season, and it was definitely the Growler was definitely due to do some things for me this season, and I'm glad that it happened. This is the one that caught my personal best pike right here. A fish that I highly doubt, with the amount of time that I spend in areas with big pike, that I will probably ever beat. Let's keep going on the list here. We've got a couple samples from Lungin Lures. This is like the Rattle and Shad, or I don't know exactly what this is technically called, but this is the Rattle Trap. Very loud, very knocky. Great spring bait. I mean, you can throw them probably all year if you wanted to. Rattle traps are good. I've caught so many big bass on rattle traps. I've lost at least one muskie on a rattle trap. I have not caught any muskies on rattle traps, but I throw them in the spring every year and they tend to move some fish. So eventually it's going to happen. They work down south. I don't know why they wouldn't work here. And speaking of Lungin Lures, we've got, I think this is, I don't know if this is the Nutbuster Junior or the Nutbuster Mini from like Lungin Lures, their spinnerbait. There's not a whole lot to it. You got a silicone skirt that is zip tied on there, and an Esox assault tail, and there's really not much to it. But my dad has done very well with these spinnerbaits over the course of time. They put off a ton of vibration for how small they are. I don't know if it's the brass up here or what it is, but they perform really well. And as you can tell, the wire is fairly thick, so like they stand up to the muskies. They catch bass. They're a great early season bait, regardless of where you're at, especially if you're around some thicker and heavier cover. So yeah, 2 spinnerbaits on the list. I know. I'm not generally a spinnerbait guy, but you know what? That's how it works sometimes. The next one that I had that I thought would be a great one. Again, another, I think this is $18.99 or maybe $17.99. This is the Chaos. This is the Esox Assault number 8. So I think it's the EA8 if you wanted to look it up on the Chaos website. Now, technically, I haven't caught any fish on this, but I know that the EA8s have caught some really serious fish. I've moved quite a few fish on this bucktail. It's a great early season bait. Well, I mean, you could throw it any time of the season. It's hard to beat a single 8, through most of most of the musky range through most of the season. There isn't a time of the year really where a muskie won't eat a single 8. So for that reason, I definitely thought it was critical to include the number 8, the Esox Assault 8, on the list. It doesn't look like much, but these things have caught tons of fish and are a staple in many musky anglers' boat. All right, what else do we got here? Okay, the one that is slightly more than $20, $21. This is the Phantom 4-inch glide. Yes, I know, the hooks I have upgraded. There aren't many times where I don't upgrade the hooks on my lures anymore. Spoiler alert, I will be recording the terminal tackle talk and explaining a bunch of that stuff sometime later this evening. But that being said, this is a really good glide bait. And there are times where I've heard that the 4-inchers actually outperform the 6s. So I've used this one. There's actually a lake where I used to live here in Iowa that had pike somewhat close, so I used it for those fish, never actually caught any or moved any, but it performed very well. It's one that I should honestly probably throw more than I do and lean on more than I do, and I just kind of sometimes forget about it, if I'm being honest. But I probably won't ever get rid of it because, you know, I've got one 4-inch glider, and I think it's a good profile. It would be a super effective spring bait. And honestly, you know, now that I guide a little bit more, some of the clientele that I have might not be able to work the bigger stuff as easily. So it's really nice to have some of these downsized options. Whether you're taking older folks or younger kids that are more familiar with bass gear, those smaller options like this, or like even a nut buster, are really good for those types of clientele or people in the boat. You know, I'll get into a story later about the spring dogs. So spoiler, the spring dogs on it. But yeah, anyway. So the next one I want to talk about is the 6-inch jake. I've caught many fish on the 6-inch jake. My wife has caught fish on the 6-inch jake. It's just a staple. This one has upgraded hooks. I basically took out the middle hook and put 2 bigger hooks on it. But it's a really good bait. Again, it's easy to work. There's a time and a place for it. You can catch fish all through the musky range all year long on the 6-inch jake. You can cast it, you control it, you can do all kinds of stuff with it. It's just a good all-around bait that is really effective at pulling fish. Yeah, and it doesn't take too much effort to work. It doesn't take too much skill to use. Again, in terms of client baits, it's really good. It's got a really good knock to it. And you know, sometimes those lips break. I've had a couple of the lips break, but at the same time, they're like, I don't know, 17 or 18 bucks. So if it happens, it happens. And then you just get a new one and everyone moves on and they keep catching fish. So yeah, the 6-inch jake. All right, probably on to my 2, and I will finish with the highest confidence bait that I have under $20. But to the spring dog. So my family member, Callie's cousin Quinn, got his first muskie. It was a tiger on the spring dog. My dad got his muskie this year on a spring dog. They're just really good baits. And again, with the clientele situation and guiding more, it's a really easy bait to put in the hands of someone who is inexperienced and have it just be super effective. There may be times this spring where I might even just kind of drag one behind the boat in some of the shallower flats that I fish, just to have an extra line in the water and potentially trigger some fish that may not be as willing to bite if I don't have the availability of live bait. So something that I'll experiment with. I may try it, I may not, I don't know. But that's definitely going to be in the rotation, especially in the spring, down here for me, as I've got a few trips booked in the early spring already. So last and certainly not least on the list, and probably my biggest and heaviest confidence bait under $20 would be the Chaos Tackle Mini Deusa. Again, work it hard, work it quick, or you can just kind of pull it, rip it, pause it, whatever. This is the nuclear crappie color. I had quite a bit of success on this show color over the last 2 years. I don't know how many of them are floating around out there. I think I've got this one and another one, so once those ones are destroyed, I may have to phone a friend to Trevor and Vince and see if they're willing to make more, or just find another awesome show color, as those will be coming out soon, where I can just kind of piggyback off this one. But yeah, the Mini Deusa has been very good to me the past few springs and has performed incredibly well. And just when the bite is tough and I'm struggling to get fish to do anything, the Mini Deusa always comes in clutch. That black eagle color looks like spawning crappies. That thing has just been awesome. I don't even know how many fish that thing has on it. It's got a 43 incher to its name, which is, I think, the biggest fish I've gotten on a Mini Deusa. So yeah, I mean, it's just, they're incredible baits for the size that they are and what they do. All of these are. But probably these are probably my two favorite, if I'm being honest. And probably, if I was to say like the two best ones for under $20, growler, Mini Deusa, hands down, end the conversation. In terms of like quality bait, amount of fish you're gonna get out of it, and the overall cost of the bait itself, those ones are just crazy. I mean, this thing has, I don't know, over 10 pike between 30 and 42 inches. It's got 2 muskies on it. Yeah, just, that thing was absolutely abused in Canada, and it's still good to go. So yeah, and this Mini Deusa hasn't been abused yet. This is a newer one that I just pulled out for this. But anyway, those are my top picks for baits under $20, with the exception of one, but hopefully you can forgive me for including a bait that was $21. Anyway, if you enjoy the Tackle Talks, please let me know. I appreciate all of you who comment on the Tackle Talks regularly and appreciate me putting the info out there. It is very validating and helps me to be inspired to continue doing these things. So anyway, that's pretty much all I got for you for this one. Good luck in 25. It feels weird to say that, but I hope that you all had a great season this year, and we'll have a great season next year. I hope to see you out on the water, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.